All right, folks. Hey, Lauren Riddick back with our Homes and Loans podcast, making a positive difference through collaboration. And man, I am so excited to have Lillie Teeter here with me. She is a friend. She is a member of our community. She is a client of mine. We go back a long way. We were just talking about little sister Sandy. Yes. Shout out to Sandy out there. Sandy and I were in kindergarten together, Sandbox, and of course Riddick and Teeter were in homerooms through my 7th grade. But man, just so glad to have you in today.
Well, thank you for having me.
You are welcome. You're welcome. I'm glad we got to get together. And of course, as I shared, we just have a good time. And I always like to start the first segment is just learning about you, So were you born in Alcoa?
I was born and raised in Alcoa.
Okay. Were you more like, my mom was actually in here yesterday. So okay. I got to do my mom and she actually was born in her house in Alcoa.
Oh no.
But Blunt Memorial, I think her little brother was. But were you born at Blunt or?
Yes.
Okay. Well, take me back to. I guess you grew up in 13 Streets.
I grew up in Oldfield.
Oldfield. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So we grew up on the 3 streets.
Okay. so the 13 and the 3 kind of little rivalry.
Well, no, we weren't rivalries. It's just like we were on our own little community.
I remember when Guy scooped me up and brought me around, I believe the Dust Bowls over in Oldfield, if I remember right, which was a dirt basketball court.
Yeah, exactly.
Is it still there?
Red clay dirt. No.
Did they build on it, or is it just?
Yeah, the Harris's house. It's built on that right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so tell me, you have how many sisters and brothers?
I have 5 sisters and 1 brother.
Okay. Well, I definitely want to talk about your famous daddy. Because I know he touched a lot of people, and of all the folks I know, I don't know that I had a chance to know your dad. I don't know much about. I just know he was very influential and a pillar of the community. So I definitely want to touch on that. But what's some of your earliest memories about growing up? Yeah.
My earliest memories were in Oldfield. My grandmother lived across the street, and my Aunt Adele, which was my daddy's lived next door, and so we was right there. You go up to my grandmother's house, my grandmother and grandfather, and we always get nickel dime and go right down to Charlie Cheek Teller's store, Quickie Curb Market.
Okay.
And
now did that end up being Stacy's Curb Market? Was that the same one, the one on the edge of Burns?
No, that was I forget Sherfield. I forget their names. They had a little store.
But it was a place to go.
Yeah, and they had candy 2 for a nickel, and we spent every penny we got, and that's why our teeth. But anyway, we enjoyed it. My grandfather had a big garden right beside our house. When I was born, we stayed.
And what street was that, Lillie?
Badgett.
Okay.
We stayed. When I was born, we stayed in my grandmother's house until they built our house on Badgett Street. And so I think I was born in April, and we moved into our house in June. So that was amazing. I didn't know, but that was one of the fondest memories that my mother used to tell us about. And then my father, of course, he was a basketball coach, and now
he was a basketball coach at Hall.
At Hall High
which was
School.
A segregated time.
Right, Charles M. Hall High School, which was all black, and it went from the 1st grade through the 12th grade. He was the pool manager down at the swimming pool, which was South Hall Pool, which was called an all-black pool.
Well, my dad's teacher and basketball coach, and was the manager of the Springbrook Pool.
Yes, and I think your daddy was my driver's ed teacher.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but we had a good life growing up. He made my father and mother make sure that we always were first.
Now let me ask you this, Lillie. Being dad in the school, did he know before you failed the test, before you did, kind of thing, or like my dad? I remember my dad would be like, "Son, I heard you didn't do so good on tests." Daddy, I don't even have my scores back yet. But they would.
Oh yeah. Anything I did, I would get called into his room.
And were the little boys kind of afraid to date you a little bit because of the coach?
Yes. Yeah. They coach crazy. I ain't dating you, but my father used to. I was a challenge, and I did silly stuff in classrooms.
Okay.
Instead of the teachers discipline me in the classroom, they would send Donna, Lindsay, Sutter to go get my father, and he would tear my tail up in front of his whole class. It'd be his football team, basketball team, it didn't matter, and I would never cry in front of him.
Yeah, paddle the canoe.
Yeah, and they used to say, my nickname was Tiger, and he gave me that nickname, but they said, cry, Tiger, he'll stop. I would not cry at all, but until I got out of the classroom. But I used to ask my mom, I said, why is it that the teachers can't discipline me if I did something wrong instead of getting my dad? And my mom said, well, your dad's shell shocked and da 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 da. And I'm like, but anyway, we had a good life. One of the funnest memories we had was Dad and Jay White were the first black park rangers in Case Cove.
Oh, wow.
So we stayed in Case Cove every week. We lived there in the summertime, and we come home on the weekends.
Now that
was amazing.
Yes.
And at first we was all like, Dad, we didn't get to go do nothing. Our friends.
Yeah.
I mean, we had a ball.
You got outside the bubble. You got outside the community, which that wasn't happening as much for most.
And we lived in the trailer. I mean, we had our own little camper, and of course, the park rangers had theirs, that they gave them. But we horseback ride every day. We would go in the water and walk the rocks, and we just did a lot of things that a lot of kids really didn't get a chance to do as we were growing up. And we walked trails and go off the trails. And
I didn't know I didn't know you had a little Ellie Mae in you. Little Ellie Mae clamping.
All of us did, but we had a really, really
What do you
good
think
time.
now? Let me ask you this, Lillie, and obviously we'll get in the second segment. We're going to talk about your professional life and as an educator, you continue to serve the youth today. In retrospect, what did that do for your development?
It really helped us. I mean, because instead of us going to the pool every day or just playing with our friends every day, I mean, we was with nature every single day, and of course, they had places where you can go take a shower and stuff. So we live like, mountain people.
Yeah.
And then when we come out here,
like my light-skinned brethren.
Yeah, here come the mountain girls, and stuff. And so it was amazing. Anything my parents did, they always included the kids. That with Dad being a football, basketball coach, he attended Knoxville College. My mother went to Bluefoot State, and but they met. Mom was a majorette at Austin High School. And Daddy was a football player. And they dated in high school, and then I think they kind of separated. He went into the service and came back, went to Knoxville College, and she was at Bluefield State. And then I guess that's...
Is that up in Kentucky?
In Virginia.
Bluefield? Oh, okay. Okay, that's right.
Yeah, so
let me ask you this. Do you think, because, I've always had a affinity for you and respect for you, and you've always seemed to have the ability to, the different things that we've done together and talking about things within the community and different challenges, you've always seemed to have the ability to step back and look at it from a wider lens than, you can't see the forest for the trees.
Right.
I don't ever really feel that you've not been, so do you think that maybe going outside and doing that kind of life, it gave you a different perspective of looking at things differently?
Oh, yes. We traveled a lot, My dad's only sister and brother lived in New York. And so we used to go up there and stay with them sometime in the summertime.
In the city?
Yeah.
So you got the 3 streets competing with the 13 streets, getting out, going to Cades Cove, and also being able to go to the city.
Yeah,
New York. City, the Apple.
We did.
That is awesome.
Summer. Yeah, so we had a really, really good childhood.
So you went, now, were you at Hall to a certain grade and then it changed over?
I was at Hall High School until the 7th grade.
Okay.
And then we ended up at Alcoa, 8th grade.
How was that first year?
At Alcoa?
Yeah. How
was
that?
Very challenging. Very challenging.
Was it like what you hear about, like the stuff of, Alabama, the girl that, I remember in Forrest Gump, and it's fictitious, but, they were giving her about a hard time. She dropped her, but he, like, dude, why'd you do that? Was there a lot of racial tension?
It was, but
you weren't alone, but
no, and we all kind of like stood back from each other, you know. Like if we had an assembly, all the blacks sat here, all the whites sat there,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I just remember one time we was having a Black History, and I think Ralph Austin was coming to speak, and they let all the white kids go home so they wouldn't have to attend our Black History program. And that's when
Which seems so counterintuitive today, but
yeah, and we ended up having a walkout, and it almost ended up into a little riot and stuff. And
now when you say walkout,
we all of us walked out the class.
oh, okay.
Because everybody had already left anyway, you know. But we
Oh.
walked out, and then we looked down the hill, and they had sticks and bottles and all this old stuff, you know, surrounding the school. And then you had the Blue Angels riot gear motorcycle people come in, and it was awful. It was really, really awful, but we got a point across.
I got
And
you.
so, you know, a lot of kids today don't understand that we paved the way for them.
Well, and see, that's an interesting pivot. And of course, you know, we could 20 hours on that one point. But on one hand, don't forget where you came from.
Exactly.
Don't forget what we've gone through to get here. On the other hand, you go to Alcoa today, there ain't no, I mean, it's like a, you know, everybody's all just together. You know, it's all mixed together.
But I don't think,
you know,
nowadays the kids don't, you know, especially the kids that come to the center, they don't see color.
Right.
You know,
which my point is good and bad.
Yeah, and I think if at this age they're young and they start talking about color, it's learned behavior. Starts
Gotcha.
at home.
Gotcha.
You know, but
the Missy, she's dental hygienist. She was the first Black dental hygienist to graduate. My wife from East Tennessee State University, and every now and then, you know, a little kid will say something, and so okay, I know where that came from.
Of
right?
Course, yeah.
You know, what? So I guess my thought is that 7th grade was really rough. Maybe 8th grade a little better. 9th grade. By the time you graduated high school, was looking back, did it improve?
Yes.
A good deal, because people realize, oh, you know, my friend. They're just like, you know, we're different, but you know.
We had big afros when we could call ourselves, you know,
the dashikis and
the
I remember the pick with the fist on it.
Yeah.
There must have been a million of those things, man. So you graduated from Alcoa, and then take me from there.
Well, when I graduated from Alcoa, I went to Knoxville College for a year, and then I ended up moving to Washington, D.C. with my sister.
Okay.
And I worked.
Which wasn't that far like going to Mars, because why? You'd already had experience in New York.
Right. So I went up there and I lived with her, and I ended up with a job at the largest recreation center in the North. They had like maybe 8 full basketball courts, indoor track. They sent us to school to become recreation specialists. And so you have to.
Well, we got a home run in getting you in, didn't we?
Yeah. They every Friday we worked part-time in the center, and then we went to classes part-time. And so on Fridays, our assignment, they said, well, this is what one instructor told us: to be in recreation, you have to be very creative. So you got to be boom, 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 you know, change, ventures, let's do this, let's do that, gotta be fun. And so one day I came in, and on a Friday, and so my supervisor told me, she said, Lil, you got the senior citizens on Monday. I was like, what? You know, and she said, I said, seniors? I said, oh my God, what am I gonna do with them? So I went in their little room, you know, because they're there every morning, faithfully. And so I went in there, I found all these instruments. And so when they came in on Monday, I was like, hey, I'm your instructor today. I said, do you all want to do like a parade and get some instruments and stuff? Yeah, we loved it. And I mean, if you could hear them boom, boom, bing, bing, ding, ding. So I went back, maybe about a year ago, I went over to visit the center. And of course, one of them was still there that I used to work with a long time ago. And so she said, Lil. So one girl said, are you Lillie?
The legend, Lillie the legend.
And she said, we hate you. I said, what?
Because you set the bar.
She said, they still doing these instruments. We have replaced them. Every morning they are still doing this.
Oh.
I said, that's beautiful.
What did that do to your heart?
I said, I didn't never know that I made
That
an
the
impact
seed,
like
yeah, that the seed.
Yeah.
So Lillie, man, she's obviously, what I do know is somewhere at that point, it got in your heart. What moment was that? Do you remember, was that the moment? Or was there a moment when you were there working in rec and with the children or whatever that you were like, this is my calling? Because otherwise you would have been like, I ain't doing it again, I'm going to do something else.
Well, I was a certified recreation specialist. So I can go into any recreation center and set up your programs, and just, whatever you decide.
So you already had the certification. So when did that love happen first? When did that confirmation come that this is your calling?
When I came back here.
Okay.
And I ended up working at Tennessee School for the Deaf in their recreation department.
Okay.
And then I was like, this is really fun, Up there, going to school and going, and working part-time, and, you have all walks of life coming in that center. And you have to be an All-in-County resident to even.
Can you sign, or are you like fluent in that now, to this day?
Mm-hmm. So you have to, in Arlington County, you have to be a resident to come into that rec center. And so on Sundays, I will, of course, be on the door. I would let people from DC, Alexander, whoever come in to play basketball. And then I had a good friend named Jeff, and he was a police officer, but he worked there part-time with me. And so when he's on the door, Jeff will fight every day because the kids, they've been letting us in, it would be me, and he said, well, you can't get in. And next thing you know, Jeff over there fighting and stuff. And so it was just.
Jeff wasn't playing, he wasn't working with you.
No, he didn't play.
So let me ask you this, we're going to break and come back to talk about the professional life. But before we do, is there any experience, whether it be with your dad, your mom, grandparent, words of wisdom that you recall, or a story you recall that has carried you, that you even maybe pass on to? Is there a favorite story or a saying that you?
My father used to tell us. He said, my mom used to always tell us, idle time is some devil's worship. Find something to do, and don't go to people's houses every single day. There's always going to be problems. But my dad used to tell us, he said, always, it's be open to different ideas. You're never too old to learn. You're never too young to learn. He used to tell us that. He said, make your mind go past probably B. Tyson Airport. He said, if you see some people now, he said, some of them, they're narrow-minded, And
Yeah.
he said, and then they just set in their own ways, and they never go outside the box. So he used to tell us always go outside.
Well, you know what? 3 streets to the Cove, to New York City, back up to DC, and then sign language with Tennessee School of Deaf. You got out of that box. Hey, I'm with Lillie Teeter, my friend. So you guys, we'll be right back. We thank you, and if we'd love for you to share this, like it. All those. Anything else I need to say about that stuff, Joe? You're making me smart, man. Our director. Share, like, subscribe. There you go. We appreciate you. And again, we'll see you in just a moment.
Excited to bring to you our Homes and Loans podcast series.
This is good stuff.
It's something near and dear to my heart. I know it's going to make a positive impact in your life and someone that you know and care about. I encourage you to share this series with anyone that fits that description. I had the vision of bringing together like-minded people that are positive, that are forced for good, not evil, in different industries, different arenas of business, whether it's educators, entrepreneurs, attorneys, CPAs, financial planners, real estate professionals, and of course, mortgage professionals and beyond. This is just an amazing series. It's going to make a difference. And the idea is that we bring these folks together so that you can enjoy it and get something out of it. And we have 3 basic segments as our format. The first segment is where someone's from. Where were they born, and maybe some childhood memories that they carry to this day. Number 2, their business, how you might be able to reach them, maybe some tips and tricks that It gives you a glimpse behind the curtain and what they do that can help you. And of course, how you reach them. And the third, I'm really excited about because that's where the gold nuggets come in. Those nuggets that we all call on to get through adversity. You know, we all face adversity. And we always ask the question, hey, how do you balance your professional and personal life? And we even ask a question, who would you have coffee with? You know, some historical figure. But the main crux of it is, how do we get through adversity? How do you look at the glass half full and not half empty? And so many other things. So we encourage you to share this. You can go to homesandloanspodcast.com. And that's A-N-D spelled out, homesandloanspodcast.com. And you can see the whole series. Man, we hope you enjoy it. Share this with someone you care about. It's going to... Hey folks, back again and with Lillie Teeter. And we are excited to have you.
Well, thank you.
Appreciate you. We had a good time that first segment. That was neat.
Yes, we did.
So we're going to talk about the professional side of, you know, you said you went to D.C., you're working at that big, huge recreation center. I would like to have been able to, you know, time machine at my best. I'd only want to go when I was at my best basketball because I know there's some good balling up there at that time. And then you came back to East Tennessee and went to the Tennessee School of the Deaf. I do remember a little bit about that. My dad was the coach at Porter High School, and they were in the same division. And I remember TSD hosted a lot of the basketball tournaments back in the day. And we were talking yesterday about Dad was in here too. We did mom and dad back to back. And I remember the little leprechaun on the unicycle that Catholic used to have. And when they would do, you remember that?
Yes.
And the dude would come out with a ball and they would have all the long pants. And,
yes.
And he would do his little circles and then do their tip drill. I hate that little leprechaun. If I'd had some marbles to throw under his tires or something, man. But anyway, take us from TSD. What happened with you?
Before I went to TSD to work in recreation, I worked at Knoxville Job Corps.
Okay.
In recreation. And Norman Bragg, I don't know if you know him or not. But anyway, Norman Bragg and I were the only two in the recreation department. So they gave us these big books. And then they told us, this is what we want. They put us in the basement of this dorm. And so I told him, you take sports, I take culture, you know, stuff. And so we build it from the ground up, you know. And then it was time for us to have a supervisor. But so I told Norm, I said, well, you was here before me, you go ahead. And he said, no, you go ahead. Neither one of us got the job. They pulled somebody else in and stuff. But anyway, we did that. And finally, I think we just got kind of, it was all boys at first. Then it ended up boys and girls. And then it ended up, I guess, after they see that they was getting more money from the government for each child coming in, it just started getting really rough. So I left, and my mom worked for employment security. And so she said, Lil, they got one at TSD. So I went over and interviewed and got the job. And,
now, did you know sign at that time?
No.
So you had the crash course?
Yeah. Well, you have to pass so many units a year.
Yeah.
In order to keep your job or have a good evaluation. And so I did that, and I was coaching basketball, volleyball, setting up recreation activities, me, and it was 4 of us in there. And we had one deaf guy work with us named Steve Harrison. But anyway, so each one of us had our own little thing that we had to do. So I was working from 1 o'clock to 9 o'clock. So I was missing my sons. Garen was playing middle school football, and Jamar was running track, and they would stay with my mom, and they'd tell her they're going down the street, and they might be over in Egypt somewhere on TV. Hey, Mom, we okay, you know? And so I decided to go into a different field. And so as I was learning sign language, I said, I should just become an interpreter, you know? So I became an interpreter for Knox County Schools. But as I was training to be an interpreter, the lady just threw me out there as a job coach interpreting. She said, the only way you're going to learn how to interpret is just do it. Like, what? You know, so I did, and then I took a few more classes and stuff, but I ended up being an educational interpreter for Knox County Schools. And I did that so I can be with Garen and Jamar and Tori, you know, and my boys, I call them my boys, and so I can be at the football games and basketball and whatever else they were doing, and they had good home-cooked meals when they got home. They were really like that, but I could keep up with them. They didn't like that part. But anyway, I did that, and I started coaching step teams at Alcoa, and still in Knoxville.
Some very good step teams.
Yeah, we won a few of them.
Yes,
and,
you did.
I started doing that with them, and we just, started. I was signed, even with the kids, my boys and stuff. I'll be in the store, they be messing, and I'll be signing to them, And let me give you one example. This is so funny. Was Jamar is a challenge. He was a challenge growing up, and so I told him, I said, "Don't touch anything in here. Don't touch that anymore." And so he touched it anyway, and I was signing to him, and I was signing to him, and so he said, so anyway, I popped it, and so they said, so this old couple was walking by, and it's like that poor little deaf boy. And he jumped up after I about knocked him down. He jumped up, I ain't deaf anyway, and they looked. But, that was so funny because
Yes.
they felt sorry for him, and he gonna still get smart with them, But I just found that pretty funny. But I also interpret for PAL football team, and we had a deaf boy on there, and plus he was a straight A student. So I had to go back to school. I mean, he took every AP, every college prep class.
You had to go to raise your game because he's fast and you want to feed this young person.
Well, I have to know what I'm talking about in the classrooms. And
right.
So,
oh wow! So you're actually, I just don't know.
He took anatomy.
Oh, so whether you like it or not, you got schooled on all that because you had to relay it.
And I used to have to tell. We used to sit down and just make up signs just for that class.
Wow.
Because I told him, I said, I would have carpal tunnel if I finger spell every one of these little bones, And then he'd be out there on the football field, and Coach Lowe, very loud, man. And I used to stand behind him and sign, Where is Coach Lillie? Right behind you, Coach.
Lillie, I did not know that.
Yeah, for 4 years. And we used to go to summer camp. And
you got a big old heart, don't you?
Mm-hmm. And I would be the only female, of course, with them. And but it was amazing.
Dealing with the smell, the funky pads, and all
they
that.
Were so stinky.
Yeah.
They were even the.
But you were kind of used to that, I guess, from your dad coaching and.
Even the office was stink with them coaches in it. But
yeah.
Anyway, when I have to go out there on the field and they call timeout, the referee would tell me, "Ma'am, you can't be out here." I said, well, you take it up with the Disability Act because I'm going to be out here,
Yes.
And they was like, something like that. But anyway, it's so funny because if Caleb moves on the line, it's because somebody else moved. I mean, just how good he was.
Disciplined.
Yeah. And they called him off sides. And Coach Lowe said, somebody had to move, And so I told the referee, I said, if he moves, somebody moved. Because he's disciplined.
Yeah, it ain't my baby.
Yeah, and so then one of the boys said, tell Caleb they talk about his mom on the line, because he played offensive lineman. He was a right guard. And so I told him, I said, Caleb, they say they talk about your mama. They said they want you to light them up, Yeah. Next thing you know, Caleb lights them up.
Yeah.
So it was very, very challenging with that.
Wow.
And then I stayed with the team for about half a year after that. You don't have a life when you're coaching.
Right.
So I kind of gave it up and stuff. But
because you got your youngins and different things. Yeah.
Yeah. So but now he's in Oregon. He is Oregon School for the Deaf. He's a football coach up there. Married and got 2 kids.
How proud are you?
I am very proud of him. I said, my little baby.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that story, Lillie.
So Caleb and I had been together since kindergarten. And then he went to middle school and he had another interpreter. I stayed back and then they put us back together when he got to high school.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So you ran through Fulton and then there was a time.
Powell. I was
Powell, that's right.
I was at West, Bearden Middle, Bearden High School, West High School, Northwest Middle, Austin East.
Man, you had the whole smorgasbord.
Vine Middle School, wherever deaf kids were, we were.
Now, did you, and if I remember, you kind of retired and then you refired and got involved with our Park and Rec?
Yeah, I was a commissioner, Parks and Rec commissioner, and they, when it came down to between me and Sissy for the director's job, of course, they gave it to Sissy, and I was still the commissioner. So then when Sissy retired or resigned, I asked him if it would be a conflict of interest if I got in there. And of course, Mr. Abbott and Frank and all them said, "Oh yeah, go ahead." So I applied for it and got the position, and I'm right where I want to be.
And you've been holding that down for how long now?
8 years.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you do an amazing job, and you know that you and I definitely have that in our heart to give back to the community. We've had some cool stuff. I still owe you a basketball camp.
Yes, you.
My
will.
health is a little better now, so I can do that. So we'll definitely need to do that soon. And actually, what I'd like to do, because we just have a conversation. Oh, there's a high camera. But I want to do one honor Marshawn.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, I think
yes.
you would like that, and
Marshawn was a good guy.
Great guy. And but one of our loved ones that just passed and gone to heaven, we're sure. But before we end this part, what can someone do? I want to ask you, follow that on the last segment. What would you say, what would you like to look and tell anybody out there if they'd like to know more? How can they help? How can they help the community? How can they help the center? How can they get involved?
We always take donations. I feed the kids every single day. Not hot meals, but snacks and water. When you come in from school, what's the first thing you do? You're hungry. So we feed the kids, and then we assist them with their homework and and then we do recreational activities with them. But if you like to donate, if you'd like to come and volunteer, please come by the MLK Center, 209 East Franklin Street. And give
209 East Franklin in Alcoa, Tennessee.
Yes.
Phone number of the center.
865-983-1954. And he calls me Lillie Teeter, which is my maiden name, but my name for work is Lillie Brown.
I'm sorry.
That's okay, because I love the name Teeter. But and then of course, if you volunteer, we do a soft background check on you.
Okay.
And
and you mentioned food. Are you familiar with Dwight Price's food bank thing that he has?
No.
So when we get offline, I'm gonna talk about that. Dwight, hey man, good to see you. He came in as one of our first guests, and he has a passion and basically worked a partnership out with, was it Food City and some of these other folks that before, if they have overruns of food and things, that they give free food to the Blount County residents.
Oh, great.
So there may be some opportunity for you all to have some synergy there. So we're here with Miss Lillie Teeter Brown, and we've had a great time, and we're going to close it out with our segment coming up. So we appreciate you guys, and again, share, subscribe, and we'll talk to you soon. Hey folks, I just want to take a moment and thank you for looking at our podcast. I hope you're enjoying it. We truly have enjoyed putting it together for you. And I want to take just a moment to talk about the Lauren Riddick team, Homes and Loans. My mortgage practice has been going around for over 25 years at the time that we're putting this together. And I'm so proud of that. We've been able to help clients and referral partners all over the country. Texas, California, Colorado, Washington State, Florida, everywhere in between. And of course, our beloved home here in the East Tennessee Smoky Mountains area. I love helping our clients. Whether it's a home or a loan, we'd love to help you. Now, my mortgage practice specializes in traditional forward lending, whether you need VA, FHA, rural development, conventional, we absolutely can help you. But I want to take a moment to talk about something near and dear to my heart, the often misunderstood, wildly popular home equity conversion mortgage, reverse mortgage. Now that's available for folks that are 62 years or better, for yourself or someone that you know that you care about that needs to know about this amazing program. Whether you want to use it as a leverage point to give warm-handed gifts instead of cold-handed gifts, live more independently and make sure that you're not burdening your family, or just put together a line of access that you can use for down the road that has unbelievable benefits. Love to share with you more about this amazing program. And just in short, how cool would it be to have an optional payment that did not have to get paid back until up to 1 year after you pass away, or up to 150 years of age? It'd be pretty cool. Therefore, letting the house owe the debt and not you. It's been over 1 million facilitated since Ronald Reagan got behind in the late 80s, including my beloved parents, Jim and Edna Bennett. Hey, if you want to know more, go to reversewisdom.com. That's reversewisdom.com. There's a lot of good information. Or just reach out. We'd love to share more about this amazing program or some of our more traditional mortgage products, or of course, real estate as well through my lovely wife, Missy. All right. Hey, man, we are back. We have some good offline conversation, y'all. Man, Lillie, thank you for being here, man. We had a good time.
Thank you for having me.
We talking about the 3 streets instead of the 13, and and being able to go live like Ellie Mae Clampett up in the Cades Cove. Now, just so you guys know, because this is all over the country, right? People see this. Cades Cove is, as you guys know, I mentioned, we're about 25 minutes from the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. And there's an 11-mile loop up in that Smoky Mountains that's where all of our ancestry, or one of the first settlers came. And that's where Lillie had the chance to spend some of those summers. Now, I'm going to tell you something.
We used to ride those bikes, that loop.
Okay, well, guess what?
What?
Do you know my great-grandmother was born in the Oliver cabin, one of the Oliver cabins?
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
Amazing.
There was actually used to be 3 of them. We don't know if the one that's standing is the one that she was, or one of the other 2, but yes.
So we're to go in those things.
Yeah, we're connected. We're connected that way
Very
too.
connected.
But had a good time, and then you spent some time in New York, and then DC, and you've made such an impact. We had a good time, talking about all this stuff. Hey, your daddy come and paddle your canoe in front of everybody, and the boys being afraid to holler at you because coach would be on the warpath.
But do you? And
you had a little bit of preacher's daughter in you to get a little wild.
Yeah, you remember, Peanut, Jimmy Ferguson.
Yes.
Well, back in when we was elementary, Peanut used to write me little love letters. Do you love me? Yes or no? Have a little box. And Daddy got one of those letters one time, and so he told Peanut, he said, "You write my daughter one more letter, and I'm gonna put you in the oven and burn you to a black crisp." And Peanut, he never wrote me again.
Hey, and the problem is, here's the real problem. All the boys knew about that.
Yeah.
Because none of them wanted to be like that, So let me ask you one thing I do know, not nearly to the degree you have. There's challenges.
Oh, yes.
Okay. When you look back, because this segment's about mindset and how you get through adversity, but the 2 things I want to ask you, what was what was one of the most challenging things about working with the kids like you do? And then what's one of the things you're most proud of?
Well, looking back, I had to change my ways because I used to have a very high temper, and
short fuse, quick.
Very short, and so I had to go back and redo me, and learn to be patient. I had no patience at all, and Jamar and Garen and Tori can tell you that. I didn't have any patience with them, but I had to go back and just redo myself and learn to accept these kids for who they are. You have to look at them. You don't never know exactly what's going on with these children. You don't know where their mindset is. Even today, I tell the kids at the center all the time, stop judging people. You calling this little girl fat, but do you know that she's on some medication that's making her gain weight? And they're like, no, and stuff. And I said, you never know where people's minds are. You never know what happens to them before they got to school. You never know what happens to them after they leave the center.
Yeah.
And I told them, I said, you have to, I look at kids, I learned over the years, when kids start acting out, it's for a reason. And a lot of them is either for attention, whether it's negative or positive. But once you give them that attention, you'll see a change in them. And when I was in the schools, I used to get the worst kids in the class and make them my friend. And then the first thing, oh, y'all not bother Miss Brown. No, don't even talk about her.
Okay.
So
That's a good pivot.
Yeah, I always made them my friends. And then I learned to sit and listen to them talk. And, and it might just be, you have to read between the lines when they are talking. And then you was like, something's really going on here, stuff. So That's one of the things that I noticed about me was changing and listening and getting to the root of some of the kids' problems, and then some of I just back off, and they'll come back and thank me. You the advice you gave me at the center. I mean, when I was the manager of the swimming pool, I told some of the kids that's when they was all dealing drugs out there and stuff. I told them, I said, let me tell y'all something. You know, I said, all that money y'all making selling these drugs out here on the street, I said, y'all might as well invest that into an education. I said, go to school, get an education, get your degree, so when you get out of prison, you got something to fall back on. You know, and one boy came back and told me, he said, Miss Lillie, he said, I listened to you. He said, I didn't go to prison, but I did invest in myself. So he went to tech school. So now he's
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
Making a difference.
yeah.
Where you can.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you know, I've known you to be positive, smiling, short to anger, but now I've seen you get fired up a time or two.
Oh yeah.
How do you deal with adversity when it's really coming down on you? How do you get through it?
I when it comes down to it, I kind of I don't like arguing with people, and because it escalates. So a lot of times I say what I have to say, I listen to what they have to say, then I end that conversation. And a lot of times I have to go in there and sit down and meditate.
How do you end it?
Um,
I'm done. We ain't gonna talk no more.
I was
Hey, I
just
like
say-
to direct. My mom gave me some good advice. She said, if you're ever in that situation, you say, I don't like the direction this conversation is going. We're gonna revisit this later, and then
I just tell them most of the time. I say, well, you know, look like
get out my face.
I like to. I just tell them that you know, this conversation is not really going anywhere. You know, and maybe you know we need to let it go. Just let it go, and you know, and maybe talk about it when we're both a little more calmer. I'll do stuff like that.
Now, and what if there's nobody else involved? It's just life. You know, whether it's the passing of a loved one, whether it's, you know, bills, whether it's, you know, health. What when
I
you
call
got
my
that?
sisters.
Okay,
And,
okay,
I
okay.
call them up,
And they call you.
Yeah, and I might say a few curse words, and girl, do you know what happened to me today? And Sandy, your buddy, she always calms us down.
Yeah,
Now, my older sister Nancy is very bossy,
yeah.
and she wants to tell you everything to do, but she don't practice what she preaches, you know. And so you know.
Now, sis, you don't do that, do you?
Yes, she does. Yes, she does. But Sandy said, "Oh, Lil, think about it, you know." And Sandy always calms me down. I mean, she calms all of us down, you know. And she makes us look at things in a little different perspective. Or,
And you know they would come running for you.
Oh yeah, and they know I'll come running for them too, you know. So, but most of the time, if I'm by myself, I'll call Jamar Guerin, my best friend Regina. I'll call her up, and she said, you know, we call each other Cat, you know, and stuff. And so, she said, girl, she said, I wouldn't worry about that, you know, or something. And she'll call me and venting and stuff. And so, I got a lot of support.
This has been awesome. You had a good time?
Yeah.
Me
Yeah.
too. I learned. I did not. Man, the Ellie Mae stuff in Cades Cove is probably one of my biggest surprises, and I didn't know that
And
you
New
dealt
York,
with.
double dutching.
Yeah. Okay.
We
Well, you
used
know, I
to,
lived in New York for about a year.
we used to double dutch. It's a girl who lived across the street, and they used to double dutch between.
Okay, we better translate for some of the folks out there.
Okay, well, double dutching is jump rope with two ropes.
And we're not talking about onesie twosie. We're talking.
Yeah, and it would be competition between the
Now,
streets.
now, typically, is there music with that, or is it
You
just
can
is it
have
just a
music
skip
with
of the
it.
rope?
It's a skip. Well, we was young,
Yeah.
and it was a skip of the rope, but it was competition between the streets.
Okay.
So I remember, I can't remember her name, but she used to come over every morning about 8 o'clock, knocking on my Aunt Barbara's door. Can Lillie come out? And she said, well, she had either we got to practice. And so that's
They
how
wasn't
I learned.
playing.
No.
Was you now? Did you have some game?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And then I mean, because we practice, and then we will win sometimes, and then we'll lose sometimes. But I always enjoy.
Did you ever try to teach double dutch to the kids down here, or?
I did, but I can't anymore because my knees won't let me. But I had one lady that came in, and they, our kids just not open to that.
Right. Just different kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What? Let me ask you one last thing. Actually, two things. A, asked you that I should, or anything that you want to tell anybody out there, your grandbabies, anything, because this is going to outlive us. Okay.
Yeah.
So if there's anything anything else you want to say, and then if not, who would you want to have coffee with?
Who would I would like to have?
And what would y'all talk about?
I would like to have coffee with. I don't know who I would like to have coffee with.
Or a person. It doesn't have to be the person, but a person. Who would be kind of cool that somebody comes to mind? Now, listen, I've had people say everything from Abraham Lincoln to their grandparents to their, aunt, whoever,
Yeah. Who was? I don't know who I would like to have coffee with. I've talked to so many people. If I could, I would like to talk to one of my aunts, who was always giving us a lot of wisdom.
What was her name?
Aunt Laura.
Aunt Laura.
Mm-hmm.
And what would y'all talk about?
Everything.
Okay.
Everything. Aunt Laura just kept it 100 with you, and she didn't use scientific names and stuff for anything. She just kept, my mother's like, Laura, you don't talk to them girls like that, but that's what
She was real.
She was very, very real.
And
my
loved
mom's
her.
twin was the complete opposite of my mother. And my mom was very, very sweet, very humble. And my mom's twin, redhead, grayish blue eyes, and was nothing nice.
Fiery.
Yes.
In a bad way.
First time I ever got cursed out was by her. And
You hear stuff you didn't heard before.
She had her own little bar called the Gold Room. And you used to have like Red Fox. You remember the old blues and jazz and stuff with the big, long
yes.
bass and stuff? But she used to have that bar, and
like a speakeasy kind of jive.
Yeah, everybody used to come in there. That comes there, and I was a waitress, and so people kept buying me drinks. And I had a bar full of drinks. I never drank them, And so one man asked me, he said, "Can I buy you a drink?" I said, "Sir, I have plenty of drinks, I don't need." She called me back there. She said, "That is your money that you were turning down?" And I ain't gonna tell you the name she called me. I called my mama, collect call. Mom said, "Oh, Lillie, get over it." That's what she said. "You're gonna be called many more names than that." I was just crying, But,
oh man.
But it was. I had an interesting life.
Well, Lillie Brown Teeter. I'm sorry, Lillie Teeter Brown. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being my friend, my client, but most of all, thank you for all you've done in our community and other communities. I'm so honored to call you my friend.
Well, thank you.
And I thank you took time today.
Thank you for your support. Everything you do, you always have supported us. And so you always been great in our community, and I want you to continue to be one.
Well, okay. as long as we're here, we're going to keep giving, ain't we?
Yes, we are.
I love you.
Thank you.
See
Love you too.
And again, guys, hope you enjoyed it. Again, we're making a positive difference through collaboration. And subscribe, share, like, all those things. Did I get that right, Joe? All right, man. Hey, I'm learning. So we appreciate you. And again, if you want to know more about what Miss Lillie's doing at the MLK, that address and number again?
It's 209 East Franklin Street, Alcoa, Tennessee. Number is 865-983-1954. Come and see us.
All right. See you guys.